Hello everybody, welcome back to Military Aviation History, and we just finished filming at the Flugwerft Schleissheim near Munich in Germany, and I thought as a special thank you to you, especially my patrons and channel members who actively support the channel and allow us to film these exhibits and fund actually the trip and the hotels and all that good stuff. We'll do a little bit of a museum tour. So we'll go around this way in the first hangar, and one of the very special exhibits you will straight out see is in fact this one. Now, if you don't recognize this aircraft, then that's quite obvious because it's actually a self-built one. It's the DOVA 81, and it was built in the East German bloc in order to flee to West Germany. Now, it never flew. The family that actually wanted to flee with this aircraft was arrested the day of the takeoff, but apparently East Germany had a look at the aircraft and said, yeah, this would probably fly. Anyway, going further, we've got the Cessna 195, an absolutely beautiful aircraft. Look at that sheen. Nice little look. We've got an Urso engine, we've got a Gnome Omega, and then of course we have also a Fokker D7, which is one of the aircraft that we filmed. Now looping around here, we have a Focke-Wulf 44, which is of course the Stieglitz. Quite a famous aircraft, aerobatics training, all that good stuff. Up there we have a Fairchild F-24, partially exposed. Of course, you can see the construction, actually quite nicely done here to see how an aircraft would be constructed from that time. This is an interesting one as well. This is the Udet Flamingo. It has nothing to do with Ernst Udet, and it was also one of those aircraft built by someone just randomly. It bears Willy Messerschmitt's name. I'm not quite sure why that is, maybe as a little bit of a memento. But this aircraft, although there was an original early on in the 20th century, this very specific one is a reconstruction of that one. Look at that beautiful propeller, by the way. Isn't that absolutely marvelous? I think it took them about 8,000 man-hours to reconstruct this aircraft. And as we come here, what an all-time classic, of course. The Fiesler Storch. And if one isn't enough, this one is with a Swiss marking as well. I've got another one over there with you. And actually that one has, seems also post-war markings, interestingly enough. As we come around here, we've got a Silver Twister, we've got an Olympia Meise. We have a lot of gliders up top, as you might have noticed. No surprise really, but since Schleissheim early on, during Imperial German time and also during the interwar period and during the war period, was quite an active airfield. We forget the Yak 50 here, East German markings on the rudder there. Acrobatics camo scheme as well. We've got a, well, this is quite an interesting one. It has a Porsche engine, but it is an MBB 223 Flamingo. And we've got a Lancair, and over there we've got another MBB aircraft. Then we come sort of in the section of where aircraft and where aviation sort of get going. Of course, in Germany, very important, we have Otto Lilienthal and his famous glider with which he broke his legs and later on died. We also have the Wright brothers glider over there hanging from the wall. And this is sort of explains a little bit sort of the start of aviation as things got going. And actually, might this be, this is actually part of the original Otto Lilienthal glider that we have here. Interesting. It's in relatively good shape. Moving on, cups, trophies, showing a little bit the history of this airfield. Moving onwards, this section now is really just explaining to you what is Schleissheim, what is the airfield here. We start essentially just with the history, and as we loop around, you'll have to read these things yourself when you're coming, of course. We start with Imperial Germany, Pickelhaube, of course. Actually, that is a Bavarian one, if we have a closer look at it, because obviously Bavaria was and remains a little bit special in Germany, has a little bit of a special status, at least among some people. Coming around here again, just documents explaining the story, the history of the airfield, old plans, and then, especially interesting for some of you over in the US, Schleissheim used to be a US Army base as well. The Yanks were based here after the war, and that also adds a little bit of the story. We've got a model of the airfield as well, as it used to be when it was still in for the military service, and there of course we have the no entry, Zutritt verboten entry sign of the US Army when they had control of the Flughafen Schleissheim. Now, moving through, now we come to the cool stuff actually. There's a little bit of a corridor here leading us to the hangar with World War II and Cold War aircraft. But what we'll do first is we'll try to go up these stairs, and I'll show you guys where they restore the aircraft at the Flugwerft, which they have actually quite an active restoration program here. As I already said, they reconstructed some aircraft, and also the Heinkel that you will see later was refurbished by people that also work here at the museum. Oh, did we film in the Heinkel? Yes, we did. That will come to the channel at some point, but as you can see, restoration work going on. Nice clean hangar space. Everything's in place. They're doing their work, and they're keeping these machines flying, which is awesome. Absolutely amazing. Now, as we move on to World War II and the Cold War, and actually beyond Cold War as well, they have a Eurofighter in here. And the first thing that greets us, however, oh, that means pull. Both languages I speak, and I couldn't read one of them. But yes, we have the Heinkel bomber. Behind that, of course, we have the Bf-109 and the Me-262. All three aircraft already filmed. Not all of them might be on your channel just yet. And what you see hanging there as well, C-47 and an Antonov AN-2 all the way in the back. Now we'll stay on the platform here. It's just a little bit quieter, and we get a nice little view, all-around view of the museum. We've got a kids section over there as well, so if you want to bring your kids, you're more than welcome to. Make them look at the aircraft as well, of course, but let them enjoy themselves. We've got a section here which is quite interesting. We've got VTOL planes in the Flugwerft Schleissheim, which are found basically nowhere else. We have the Dornier Do 31. That one is also at the Dornier Museum, but then we have the VFW Fokker VAC 191. And beyond that, we have another experimental VTOL aircraft as well, which I believe the Germans did together with the Americans, if I remember correctly. Again, a couple of gliders, a couple of recreational items here. The Eurofighter coming up here. This is the A1, so this is not actually any Eurofighter from tranche 1 to tranche 3 or 4 that's coming up. This is the A1, which was used to experiment with handling and engine performance. And actually, we just have to walk slightly back because I went a bit too fast. A couple of helicopters in the background, of course, there. As you can see, if you're into helicopters, we've got stuff for you here as well in Munich. But very interestingly, all the way in the corner there with the 3 engines, that is the Dornier 24, which is an absolutely marvelous aircraft, but which we couldn't do this time, sadly, around. Also, that one is a little bit of a special situation because apparently there's 2 owners. One of them owns the wing, the other one the fuselage. Not quite sure what's going on. But the aircraft that looks like a little bit like a Eurofighter or a modern jet, by there, that is the X-31. You can see there as well. That was an experimental aircraft that Germany worked together with America. Now, moving on. Let's go to the last section of the museum. There's so much more to see here, by the way. There's everything that you actually would like to see in a museum when it comes to aircraft. There's engines, there's explanations of why aircraft fly, how different matters work. They have a lot of guided tours as well in English, in German. Come and visit the museum. It is absolutely stunning. Just below me, we have the Panavia Tornado. Some people call it Tonka. This one actually flew operationally in Afghanistan, as far as I'm aware. A little bit further on, we have the F-104 Starfighter. That episode has also been filmed. It's of course an aircraft with quite a lot of story and history in Germany. Beyond that, the Canada Air Sabre, there is another one. Of course, the first sort of jet aircraft that West Germany got after the Second World War. And if we just loop around and go along this platform here, we'll have a closer look at some other special exhibits. We have, of course, in Germany, a lot of Soviet aircraft. Why? Germany was divided during the Cold War, right? We had West Germany and we had East Germany. And these two nations, when they unified, of course, had a combined arsenal of a lot of aircraft, a lot of tanks, a lot of weapons, really, of a wide variety. A Lockheed T-33, that was one of the first jet trainers that the Germans got also. West Germany, again, I hasten to add there, West Germany. We've got a selection of what looked like ejection seats. I'm pretty sure there's a couple of Martin Bakers in there, and probably also Soviet variants. Then we've got the F-4 Phantom, which is of course also something that West Germany flew. And we have the MiG-21 all the way here. That's an MF version. And we have another look, of course, at the Dornier 24. And beyond that, there is another MiG, what looks like a MiG-15 UTI. So let's round this up here, essentially. I hope you guys enjoyed this high-speed tour. If you want to visit the museum, please do so. It helps keep history alive. And if you enjoy the channel and if you enjoy the content, please also consider supporting us over Patreon or channel memberships, sharing my videos, and keeping the show going, essentially. So as always, have a great day, good hunting, and see you in the sky.